Give Up Jones and Stick To It Gonzalez are two kids that grew up in the Porterville area. Okay? Now they're adults. But once they were kids and they were the same age, and in fact they came from very similar homes. Their parents made about the same amount of money, and in fact they lived on the same street. And the kids were very similar in most ways, except that Give Up Jones had a mother that was always doing things for him, and that made him lazy because he wasn't having to work very hard. One thing you'll find is most lazy people had things or have things done for them, and that's how they become lazy. If you have to do things for yourself, then you're more apt to be energetic and willing to work when you have to. But most lazy people have had things done for them. For instance, he didn't learn how to tie his shoes till he was about 8 years old because his mom was always doing that. So here's Give Up Jones, and let's say when he was 5 years old, he was lazy, and he also had very little confidence in himself. The reason for that is because anytime he tried something, his mom would run over there and say, "Oh, I'll do that for you, honey." And what did that make him think inside? That he could not do it? Go ahead.
Because he was a loser?
It made him feel kind of like a loser, like, gee, I can't do it myself. It's kind of like, for instance, you're saying, I'm going to draw a picture, and I come over and I say, oh, I'll do it for you. What's that make you feel? It makes you feel like, gee, maybe Mr. Varney thinks you can't do it. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the way he was. He was afraid to try things. He had a lack of confidence in himself, and he was lazy because of the way he was raised. And we'll find that has a lot to do with people being losers and winners. Anyway, this guy came from a very similar home, except his mom let him do some things. In fact, she made him do some things. Clean up your room, Gonzalez. We don't know what his first name is. We only have their last names.
Just put a name on him.
Okay, we'll put a name on him. Let's call him Joe. Clean up your room, Joe. And Joe would get in there and clean up his room or he'd be punished. And so Joe, when he got to kindergarten, had worked a lot and he was used to it. And even though sometimes it was kind of scary to try new things as he was afraid people might laugh at him if he goofed up, okay, he still had what it took to get in there and do it anyway. And that's what we talked about last time. We talked about brave people and cowards. Brave people are not people that are unafraid. What are brave people?
Brave people, they're like, they're afraid inside, but they're going for it outside.
Man, this guy here is bright. That was a good answer. That was better than I could even put it. That's the best way I've ever heard anybody tell me what a brave person is. Okay, for instance, if you're out going, you want to shoot a lion, okay, you're going hunting or something like that, and your gun jams, okay, and you can't shoot, and the lion runs over there and he's going to jump on somebody else, okay, you have to decide in a split second you're going to do something about it. Now a brave person would probably pick up a stick and run over there and try to beat the lion off, right, to try to get him away from somebody. The coward would probably run the other way. Okay, first of all, aren't they both afraid? Wouldn't you be afraid to tap a lion with a stick? Okay. What's the difference? The difference is, even though the brave person is afraid, he does it anyway. Just like this gentleman over here said. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe, you're pretty smart. That's a good name for our Mr. Gonzalez. Okay. So anyway, these guys enrolled in the same kindergarten class, and the very first day, the teacher gave them both a coloring paper. And guess what Mr. Jones did over here when he got his coloring paper?
He probably gave it to the other person.
Okay. He took one look at it and he said, I can't do this, I'm not going to do this. And that was the end of it. He didn't do his paper. The teacher tried to get him to do the paper and he wouldn't do it. He was lazy and he was also afraid. He was afraid of goofing up. He was afraid the kids might laugh at him. And like we said, that made him a coward and also a what? A loser. Yeah. He failed. Whose choice was it?
Yes.
He was afraid of failing, and so he failed on his own. He made sure that he failed, didn't he? Yeah. Which is kind of funny the way that worked. Yeah.
But it was also his parents' fault because they didn't give him the right.
The right upbringing.
Yeah.
That's a good point. It was partly his mother's fault. Hey, when this guy gets to be 50 years old and he's still lazy, though, can he keep blaming it on his parents all his life?
No.
Does he have his own mind? Can he think?
Yeah.
Okay, when he gets to be 18 and he says, I'm lazy, I'm a good for nothing, I better get moving, okay? Can he do that?
Yes.
It's kind of a cop-out if he keeps saying, oh, it's my mom's fault. Some people do that. There's probably people that are 65 years old that are losers because they've chosen to be losers. If only my mom had pushed me harder when I was a young child. That's a cop-out, isn't it?
Yes.
You guys heard that word before?
No.
A cop-out is a person that doesn't accept responsibility for himself. He's always saying it's somebody else's fault that he didn't make it, okay? For instance, the kid in the classroom that's always blaming on the teacher if he gets a bad grade, or when he gets in trouble. It's the teacher's fault, but it was really his fault because he's the one that did it and got in trouble. Anyway, let's get back to our story here. Kindergarten, first day of school, Give Up Jones gives up. Joe Gonzalez over here gets the paper. What did he do? What did he do?
He did it.
He did the paper because he was a little bit afraid that he might get laughed at, but he's brave. And what do brave people do?
They try.
They try anyway. I'm scared, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not going to be a loser, I'm going to be a winner. And that's the way Joe was. What do you think first grade was like for Jones here? He didn't do a lick of work all kindergarten. What do you think first grade was like?
Same thing. He didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything. Hey man, he was a whole year behind by the time he got in first grade. It was even harder for him. That's the way it is with losers. Hey, if they give up all the time, they get further and further and further, what? Behind. And it makes it harder and harder and harder for them to catch up. So if you're a loser even just for a year, man, it makes it that much harder for you to catch up with everybody else. Yeah.
And Jonas wouldn't even pass kindergarten. First.
Hey, it's possible that Jones didn't even pass kindergarten. Let's just say that he did. He had a nice teacher or something, or he moved or whatever. These guys didn't really exist. We're just making believe like they did, okay?
Yeah.
Just to prove a point. You guys understand that. Okay. So anyway, these guys went on to first grade. What kind of a first grade student was Mr. Gonzalez over here?
Winner.
You can believe. Yeah, what kind of a student was he like? He was a winner. What did he do that made him win? Can I call on a few people here? What did he do that made him win? Make it up. Make it up. We're just making it up. He tried. What else did he do? Yeah.
He done it even though he was scared.
Even though he was scared sometimes, he said, he just bit his lower lip and went, yeah. He just went right in there and he did it anyway. Okay, he wasn't a coward. Nobody's going to call me a coward. I might be afraid, but I'm no coward. I'm brave. And he went in there and he had a little bit of trouble in reading when he first started. Reading didn't come easy for him, but he worked hard and he made it right up to the top reading group. And that's the way he stayed all the way through school. 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade. He graduated, okay? And he wanted to be a doctor, and so he just kept right on going. These guys were average when they started school. But they were average in brains, You understand what average means?
Yeah.
They were in the middle,
Not really.
okay? Like I said, he had trouble with reading when he first started. But man, this guy worked so hard to guess what he was like when he got out of high school. Raise your hand. What do you think he was like when he got out of high school? Yeah.
A doctor?
Huh? So I didn't hear what you said. Say it again. What did he say?
Doctor.
A doctor. Not when you get out of high school. You got to go to school for about 10 more years to be a doctor. Maybe even longer than that. Hey, he was smart when he got out of high school. That's the way it is with people that work hard. Okay? The more you use your mind, the better your mind gets. What happens when you exercise a muscle? What happens when you exercise a muscle?
It builds up.
It builds up. It gets big. Like the Incredible Hulk. Well, that's the way your head is. If you use your mind, you do your math like you're supposed to, and you read like you're supposed to, okay? And you figure out problems like you're supposed to, your head becomes smarter. And that's the way this guy got. So by the time he got out of high school, he was smart. So he was smart. What do you think about this guy? He started off being average. He didn't do a lick of work all the way through school. What was he like when he got out of school? What was he like?
A bum?
He was a bum, okay?
He was hopeless.
So now let's try to figure out, these guys are both 30 years old. Let's try to figure out what they're like today. Okay, and they're the same age as Mr. Varney, okay? Okay, what's this guy like today now? He didn't learn anything. If you don't learn anything, how can you be smart? I don't, what's 2 plus 2? Let's see, I think I had that back in kindergarten, but I never did my work, so I don't know. That guy wasn't very smart, was he? He didn't know anything. And he didn't know how to use his brain if somebody asked him a question. Let's see. Where's G Street? It's right out there. Let's see. I never learned how to read the street signs. Okay. You said he didn't. There's no job, right? Isn't that what you said? Would you hire that guy?
No.
Tell me more about him. What's he like at 30 years old? Tell me more about this guy. People that haven't had a chance. Mrs. O, if you can even call on people, what do you think he's like at 30 years old? Yeah, use your imagination.
Hopeless.
Hopeless. Just about, huh? Hey, if you've been a loser for 30 years, you're pretty hopeless by then. There's not much hope for this guy. That's all he knows how to be, is a loser. Okay? Guess who he hangs out with? Guess who he hangs out with? Who's going to hang out with this guy?
Nobody.
Remember those guys we talked about last week? Hey, schoolboy's got books! Be cool like me, man. Okay? I'm dumb and cool. It's like he's, cool. I mean, dumb is beautiful. So anyway, he had weird friends, right? Because who else is going to hang out? Are you going to hang out with this guy? He's got nothing to offer you. You guys are all winners. So the only guy that's going to hang out with this guy is a weird guy. Hey man, it's cool to be dumb. That's the kind of person that hangs out with this guy. Not you guys though. None of you people are like that. Although we know some people that are like that, don't we?
Yes.
There's people walking up and down the streets of Porterville every day. We see them all the time. Okay. What else about this guy? Where does this guy live? What's he like at 30 years old? Let's see if there's any difference between these two guys. Raise your hand if you want to talk. Yeah.
He's a good doctor.
Okay, he's probably a doctor if he's 30, huh? That's what he wanted to be. What else? Come on. What else? Quick. Huh? He's brave. Okay. You gotta be brave to be a doctor. You gotta do all kinds of things that are kind of scary, right? You got somebody that's bleeding, you gotta sew them up and stuff. You gotta be brave to do that. Yeah. Huh? Okay, you bet. I don't know if he's rich now. He's probably just opened up a private practice and he has to make a lot of payments. But he's got money. You gotta believe he's got money because he's working. What else? Yeah.
He can be a lawyer?
He could be a lawyer if he wanted to be. He could do a lot of things, huh? Should I put that down? Since he's got an education, he can do whatever he wants to do. This guy here, all he can do is just, lay in a trash can all day, do nothing. Okay. Could do a lot of things, but he's chosen to be a doctor, so that's good. Yeah, what else? Yeah. Yeah, he's got a house, man. What else? Okay, he's got nice clothes. What else? What else? Yes.
He can eat healthy food.
Okay, he takes care of himself. Good food.
Good health.
Health. Okay, do you think he puts things off when he has to get something done? Do you think he puts it off?
No.
What do you think?